So let's have a look at audience retention. This is one of those things that is either not understood or grossly misunderstood. And it actually is the most important metric, the most important set of data that you can get on YouTube. Simple as that. YouTube has to have a way of deciding whether your videos are worth watching or not. And once they've got lots of views, they can tell very quickly from those views how quickly people drop the video off. In other words, they don't continue watching it, or they stay watching a lot of it. If your videos are compelling in the jargon, so people are watching the whole of your video, then clearly that's a fantastic vote. So it doesn't matter whether your video is 1 minute or, as some of mine are, 43 minutes, an hour or whatever. If people are watching a lot of it, that says a lot about the video. And if YouTube sees that people are watching all or some or most of your video, they can then decide whether to promote your video. And remember, they do that free of charge. One of the ways that I get as many views as I do, I look very hard at retention figures all the time and work out what stage do people drop out of my videos, what's boring, what's interesting to them, and then you can quickly use that information to either edit the video or in future to make other videos that are more interesting. One of the things that a lot of people do is they want to put their brand at the beginning of a video. For example, they have this 20-minute logo with, After Effects and things spinning around and lights coming in and bits of sound. Well, yeah, that's fine if you're in the cinema, you have a lengthy intro and all that sort of thing. It's because people are sitting down buying the popcorn, arriving late or whatever. If you're sat in front of YouTube, you have a billion videos available, you're not going to sit there for 20 seconds with some ridiculous intro. If you're going to do an intro, and I still do some, then make it interesting. If you get the WTF idea that people, what am I watching, that intrigues them straight away. There is no doubt, though, that if you are doing a video and you want people to watch for as long as possible, you must break it up. So in the beginning, you tell people what you're going to tell them. Then a few seconds of a jingle or a video or whatever, then tell them what you told them you're going to tell them, and sum it up at the end by telling them what you've already told them. You will get huge retention times from that. Retention times, remember, is how long people are watching your video for, and that will have a massive effect, an absolutely massive effect, more effect than anything else you can do on your videos, and how much Google promotes them, so how many views you get. So the longer more people watch, the better. That doesn't mean to say that everybody needs to watch 100% of your videos. You'll see a lot of mine, there's only a very small part watched, but if it's higher than the average within the same sector, about the same subject or whatever, you will win and you will get promoted, and that's what I do. Now, this initial chart that I'm showing you here is just a normal audience retention chart, and shows my average view 4 minutes 27 seconds. On average, people only watch 23% of my films. Now, because my films vary between about 30 seconds and an hour, that is a completely meaningless metric, a completely meaningless statistic. What I'm going to do, it does show you down here, it will show all your films, and you can see I've got 200 pages there. So what we'll do, we'll just look at one as an option. We'll take this one, which is my top film. We can see this has had in total 1.6 million minutes viewed in the month that we're looking at here. I know that film, I think it's 43 minutes. Yes, can you see, if I move the mouse it doesn't show it, but you can see second line from the bottom there, duration 43 minutes and 4 seconds. People are only watching 9 minutes 15 seconds of that, which is about 21%. Now, 21% of a video you might think is not a lot, but actually if you think about it and think about people's attention spans and think about some of the things that you think about, 9 minutes 15 seconds to watch a video is very long. That's a long time to watch, particularly on a YouTube video. And I get people telling me all the time that if your video is longer than 30 seconds or 60 seconds or 90 seconds, nobody will watch your video. Well, there's 1.6 million people in a month that watch this for over 9 minutes. So I think we can knock that on the head. Just a matter of interest, this film below is 53 minutes, so nearly an hour. And you can see I've had over 500,000 views on that one. That one's shorter. Well, it's still 15 minutes. And again, 173,000. That one is 19 minutes, 172,000. Have you noticed that's 15 minutes? These are all very long films. This is sorted for the month that we're looking at here. This is sorted by minutes watched. And you can see those long films have had a lot of watch, a lot of time watching, and accounted for a lot of view times and obviously a lot of actual views. Now, you mustn't run away with these ideas that people say, oh, and you can only have a 30-second video or a 60 or a 90. It drives me nutty. Anybody who tells you that for now, you can sort of smile slyly and say, yeah, I know different from that. You can see the figures there of what people have done. I say, that's very interesting. We know that's good. What we need to do is to see how things are doing. I won't come back to it, but we can break this down by geography and date. What I want to show you is a real live example of how this works. Now the problem is I need to mute the sound on this, so as I'm doing this live we may have a problem. But what will happen here, I'll just wait for that to start up, just take a few seconds, and I'm just going to pause the film so it doesn't actually play, so we don't get strange sound. First thing you might notice there, it's jumped immediately to 12 minutes 58 seconds in. I hope you all know about cookies and how machines are cookied and the amount of data and stuff that YouTube and Google retain. What that's saying is the last time I came to this film, I actually paused it at 12 minutes 58 seconds in and I went away. And that happens with everybody else. You know, from the month under review here, we had 9 minutes 15 seconds of views in total, on average views. But in actual fact, when people come back to see this film in future, they might have been on lunch break, they might have been on a train, they might have been whatever, YouTube will automatically start them again at this point, and generally, if it's a longer video, they'll put an advert in before that, so that's a pre-roll advert, a full, like a proper TV commercial that might last a few seconds or a few minutes, which of course makes you more money. So they'll come straight back to that. Now what's interesting, you can see we're 12 minutes 58 seconds in. If we come back to this chart here, can you see that big red line? That shows me where I am on that video, and if I pressed play on this video now, which I will try and do, and I'll just do it properly, I'll mute the sound. Not going to be able to see it easily on here because it's such a long film, so let's just pause it again. What happens is this red line moves along the whole film, and you get an idea then from the blue line, this blue graph, is how many people are watching. So if we look at this point here, we're 1 minute 18 seconds into this film, and I've already lost 53% of my viewers. In other words, 47% are still watching. The other two colours there, the orange and the green, is showing how many people have left the adverts popped up on the bottom of the screen and so on. And you can see, although many people do close those, people do tend to leave them on the screen. It baffles me because it takes up, what, 10% of the screen, but people still leave the adverts there. But you can see that very quickly, let's have a look here, where are we? We're 52 seconds in. I'd lost nearly half my audience of this film turn off in the first minute, less than a minute there. See if I can just bring it up to, no, I can get 52 seconds, 54%. By 1 minute 18 in, I've lost 53% of the audience. Only 47% of the people are actually left. But it's a pretty straight line after that. I know it does drop off towards the end, but that's a long time in when we got 1 in 8. But slowly we lose people during the film, because if they come back at this stage and watch it again, they'll see more. So that says a couple of things. Your first few seconds of your film must be compelling. There must be something there that makes people go, wow, what is this? I want to know more. I want to see more. What is this? What's interesting? What's in it for me? If you don't do that, and you start off with something boring, or a boring intro, or your logo, or some guy on the screen droning on about what they're going to show, people will leave. Get lots of people complain, I've had all these views, look at this, I've had 1 million views, I've had 100,000 views, I've had 1,000 views. But when you look at audience retention, out of that 1 million views, maybe 99% have turned off in the first few seconds. That's why you're not getting any results from that. Even on a film like this that had so many views in this period, I'd lost half the people by 52 seconds. You can see it goes back. Now it's interesting here, you can see it going down, it goes up again. I'll talk about that in a second. And it does drop away, but you can see it across here, generally 15 to 20% of people have stayed right on all the way through. And again, if I show you, that's a 43-minute film. It's had 1.2 million views overall, but in this particular period, don't remember, I think it was 150,000 views in that period. Now you'll notice here it goes down. Can you see the blue line there? We're at 33%, 35%, 36%, and then it drops away again. What you can actually get sometimes, and it's wonderful, is that you can actually get more than 100% of views. How do you get more than 100% of views? Quite simply, people scrubbing back and forth on the video. So they've seen something, wow, that's really interesting. Either they want to see it again, or it's so astounding, or perhaps they didn't quite understand what they've seen. People will wind the film back, scrub back as it's called, over the last 10 seconds, the last minute, the last couple of minutes, and watch it over and over again. They may be in the office and get a group of friends seeing it over and over again. When that happens, you get over 100% of views. And Google, YouTube does mention this down here. Absolute audience retention shows you how often each moment of video is being watched as a percentage of total views. But rewinding and rewatching can result in views of higher than 100%, and that always confuses people. So if people rewind the video and show it over and over again, look at it over and over again, they want to see something, and that's great for training videos, educational videos, documentaries, all sorts of films. It not only means that people are watching a film and interested, but from Google's point of view, from YouTube's point of view, you're getting much higher views, you're getting higher retention, and believe me, that makes an enormous difference. So don't worry if it falls off a cliff. That one certainly does enormously. But you can see that I'm still doing quite well with it. Let's do exactly the same for the second best film here. And you can see here we are 1 minute 4 seconds in. That's just going to play, so I just need to work out how to pause that. There we go. And you can see we start off 100%, right enough. But within 32 seconds, I didn't pause that, did I? Let's try that again. There we go. At 32 seconds, this film is about 52 minutes long, and most people watch an average of 21%, 11 minutes. But you can see here again that blue line is relatively straight line. Drops off obviously towards the end as they expect, but that's quite strong. But people decide very, very quickly whether they want to see that. Now, whether people were attracted by the thumbnail, by the title, or what, impossible to say. But what I can say is that I'd lost 40% of my audience within 30 seconds. But after that, it doesn't drop off that much. You can see there's still an awful lot of people there watching that. You can see how quickly you can get that. Now, I must stress this again. The prime metric, the one thing that YouTube measures most, and this was brought in early 2013, the one thing they measure most, how long are your videos watched for? Now, one of the things that get asked all the time, my video's only a minute, so people watch a minute, that's good. Yeah, that's fine. Therefore, I'll only make short videos. No, it doesn't work like that. It's YouTube's cleverer than that. It's an overall as a percentage of the film, and they know from the millions and billions and trillions of views that are seen all the time, they know how long people stay watching a film, and they know obviously that a film that's going to be 52 minutes long isn't going to get watched as long as a film that's only 30 seconds, because in 30 seconds you think, what was that, what happened, and it's too late for you to decide to go back because it's over. So they build into the algorithm, into the measurements, a really clever series of calculations, obviously heavily computer use there, and they know what an average is of these things, and we get a better idea. And we talk of averages, so let's put a relative audience figure there, and you can see that is the average. They actually give you that figure, and you can see this particular film all the time. The blue line, remember, we're looking at, apart from one little bit there which has interested people, have gone, this bit's been of more interest, I am well below the average on that film, and obviously I could improve that. It's very difficult on a 53-minute documentary to go back and improve it, but if your video is only a few minutes and you're getting very much below average and people dropping off below average, you need to look at that film, you need to re-edit, restart it, maybe take the original film down. Okay, hope that makes sense. So the little grey line in the middle there is the average. Just put the mouse over that so you can see. The blue line, you can see this film is way below average. What's interesting is the amount of time people leave the adverts on for, or watch the adverts in some of these cases, is much higher. I'm guessing at that stage, because this being longer films, at this stage, 8 minutes, there's an advert comes on, so it interrupts the film like it does on TV, and people watch that, and you can see that the peaks there are very high. That's when people are actually watching the film, watching the commercial coming in, and they can skip it, but they don't. Perhaps a subtle hint there, if you are doing longer films, remember you can put adverts within the stream, TrueView in-stream as they call it, and people do sit and watch it in the middle of a program, a bit like we all sit and watch TV and the adverts come on, the commercials come on. All right. So I keep stressing it, but audience retention is the most important metric you can work on. You must spend time looking at that. Don't go by views, something I seem to be saying in every video in this course. Views are to a large extent irrelevant. It helps, but unless you've got things like retention, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your budget, and people just aren't watching, or if they are watching, they're not watching for very long. YouTube isn't going to promote you. You start getting above average here all the time, you get more and more promotions. I know you're all dying for me to do this now, so let's go back to the first film that I looked at there, which did so well. Let's look at relative audience retention here. And you can see again here, see how well I've done. I'm still below that line. Okay, that's the same film actually, isn't it? Sorry, let's go back again. And let's go back to audience retention. You know, when you start something, you think, why did I start that? So let's go back there. Humour me for a second. We'll probably edit this out later. There we go. Let's go back. I'm trying to do this as much live as possible. Have we got the right film now? No. That's because we've got all films shown there. So let's kill that. Go back to audience retention. Remember, you can search for your videos here. That's what I did wrong. We're going to this one. And if I put the relative audience retention in there now, where are the blue line? Well, it varies enormously. We started off very below. We dropped a lot of people at the beginning. Then it goes very high again. And on average, we are below that. So again, on that film, I could have done a lot better work. Shame I didn't. But again, on a long documentary, I can't. I'll just kill that because we don't want to watch that film. Let's come down. I've got all the countries and things shown there. Go back to video. Let's look at something that isn't quite so long. Probably got some long ones on here. Right, this one, 3 minutes 51 seconds. And you can see the retention there is absolutely fantastic. Okay, no adverts on this one, so nothing there to confuse you. Let me just pause that for a second. You'll see the red line has started to move and follows along, but I've already lost at 7 seconds. At 5 seconds, I've lost 9% of the audience. Why people spend less than 5 seconds, I don't know, but obviously my opening screen there wasn't very compelling. But as we move along, let's call the average up. I think this might be a little bit better than normal. And I'm above average majority of the film. There's a dip here. People didn't like that bit and logged out. But some people, I'm guessing, were going back and forth here watching this bit. That's good. And that's why I've got such high figures. You can see there on that film, I've got a 63% duration. All right, strange title, that one. It's a comedy, believe it or not. It may not look like it from there in case you're looking at it thinking, what's Alan up to? You can do that. Just while we're on this, it's worth mentioning you've got download report here. You've got tons of downloads and so on you can do. You can print these off. You get them in CSV, Excel file formats and so on. And can be very useful. All right, a lot to take in there. Watch this video a few times, please, because audience retention, if you haven't heard me say it by now, is the most important metric of all. Not only for your business in terms of people watching it and so on, and finding out where you're going wrong. Cinemas, big movie companies would love to have this retention levels. You know, if somebody goes to see a film, at what stage do they get bored of it? Well, you've got all that information. It's free. YouTube use it to decide whether they're going to promote your video or not. So it's also very useful. Amazing.